Welcome back. I'm Jen Johnson with my guest all the way from Boston, Grace Stevens. Grace Stevens, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me today.
I am so glad you came up, and I really, you have an amazing, amazing story, and it's very timely in the news these days with Bruce Jenner and that kind of background going on. Talk a little bit about yourself. I have many questions for you, so I'm going to try not to throw them all at once. So just talk a little bit about yourself first, in terms of your history and your transition.
Sure. I'm a transgender woman. I transitioned at the age of 64, so I do understand what the whole Jenner story is going to.
Yes.
I was married for 25 years. I have 3 adult children. I have 2 grandchildren. And I've been one of the very lucky people that I've lost no one in my life as this went on.
That's awesome. You're a very peaceful person. I mean, we've been talking a little bit. And so what brings you so much peace?
I'm aligned. The voices in my head are all gone. Once I transitioned, all the voices that kept telling me I was not living my true life all quieted down. And they're at peace now.
You know, that's interesting because we all have so many voices going and so many voices going. And how did you finally recognize, how did you recognize? I mean, you look in the mirror as a kid and say, oh my gosh, that face looking back is not me? Or, I mean, how did you get to such a place where you started hearing the voices and then that many years later, finally knowing what was going to quiet them?
The voices were always there. There was always the presence of the girl inside me and the boy inside me. And they were at war. And while this was going on, I had to sort out that internal battle. And that was a lifelong issue, which I couldn't share with anyone for fear of total abandonment from everyone in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is where, that was not, you said you were, when did you transition? When you were 64?
When I was 64, after my kids were adults.
By the way, you look fantastic. You do not look 64, 65. I don't know, how old are you now?
I'm 67.
You do not look it. You look fantastic.
I've had a great surgeon.
Yeah, okay. Give me the card after.
I will.
So all those years, society wouldn't have said, oh, please, by all means,
Growing up in the 50s
switch
and
away.
60s. Yeah, growing up in the 50s and 60s, there was no information.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Where could a child go? Chase the library, there's no information. There was nothing on TV.
Right.
Even back then, that being gay or lesbian wasn't talked about. And I knew I wasn't gay or lesbian because I was attracted to girls.
Right.
But I felt like a girl.
So now are you a lesbian?
I'm oriented towards women. What a great question. And are you?
Oh, yeah. No, I just was curious. Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm oriented to women, but I'm also at this point in life that I'm a menopausal woman.
I am too. All right. So the interesting thing, though, is that now there's so much talk about gay, lesbian, transgender. There's just so much discussion about it. Yeah. But it's still, you think it's still just as challenging for young people today who are going through this battle to actually, now there's some resources for them to go to, but do you think that the internal battle is still just as challenging as it was for you when you were growing?
I think it depends on the culture you're in and your family. There's so much more conversation and openness about the discussion, and we're seeing much more acceptance. And what I understand is that the generation, people under 50, it's no big deal anymore. Right. But still, certainly within certain cultures, certain families, it's still verboten. It's still things you don't want to be, you don't want to talk about. But we see this news. Part of my job, part of my mission is to be able to talk about my experience so that people understand, because we won't learn acceptance unless we have a better way of understanding what it's like.
I know. Your mission, though, is different. It's broader than just for people who may be transgender or who may have questions internally about their sexualities or anything like that. Your mission is much broader. And what is that mission?
Thank you for bringing that up. So the question that I have, the experience that I've had all my life, is to ask the question, whose life are you living? Are you living a life true to yourself, or are you living the life that you think others expect of you? That society, your parents, whose life is it?
Yes.
Are you saying yes to people when you really mean no?
Yeah, it's so true. It's huge. I mean, that's a huge mission to take on.
Right.
And I think that that's really important. I know that you have the book that you wrote, and it's No, Maybe, Yes, Living My Truth.
It talks about the years of denial. No, this can't be me. Then as I move to the years of questioning, maybe that's true. And then, yes, finally accepting who I am, that I'm transgender.
Right.
And then living my truth is, what am I going to do about it?
Right.
But the last chapter of the book, when I finish that, is living your truth.
Right.
What are you going to do about your life?
Right. And I think that's something that speaks to everybody, and that's why it's important to be talking about everybody's confusion in life and what people need to do. So you do speaking engagements, things like
Yes.
that. What groups do you find yourself being asked to go and talk in front of? What's your what are some of the things that you're doing
Right.
now?
So I'm targeting a speaking business within the college speaking circuit to get to juniors and seniors before they get out into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Are they ready to get into the real world? That the mission got created. It's a great story that in 2009, when I told all my children, who were all adults, that I'm transgender, my youngest son was already married, had a house, was teaching in Tucson, Arizona. I told him on the phone because I couldn't go out there. He said, "That's great, Dad. Just be who you are." And then a few months later, he calls me up and says, "I'm not really comfortable. I don't think I'm living my true life. And I don't want to be your age and realize I've gone down the wrong path."
Mm-hmm.
And that put me on the mission that said, young adults get out into the world. They get locked down before they know who they really are.
Yes. They live for their parents.
They live for
or
the
whoever.
culture, the society. I'm supposed to do this.
Yes.
I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have kids. But they haven't lived their lives yet.
Yeah. Look at the race that they challenge people to do. Right from, like, you always see the joke, it's like a joke in movies, stuff about the Manhattan babies trying to get into the right school, to get into the right
Gotta get
to
to the right preschool to get into Harvard.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yes. I know, that's crazy. I know, it really is. And so you were talking earlier when we were, offset, about some of the programs you have coming up, that you have something happening in Waltham, Mass.
Right, so I'm one of the leaders in the Boston area of the Tiffany Club of New England, and we run an annual conference called First Event. Mm-hmm. This past year we had over 700 people come to First Event in mid-January, and we started a great youth and family program. This year I invite all people up from Maine because we cover all of New England. We had over 100 people with parents, kids. One of the hard things is for parents of trans children, they don't see other trans parents.
Right.
They also don't see successful trans adults to give themselves hope for the future for their kids. So I invite them all to come down to First Event so they can meet others like them, the kids on their journey, and understand very professional people who transition to midlife, late in life.
Yeah.
But to let them know that their kids can be successful too, no matter who they are.
And this is the kind of support that they need as well in order to kind of reconcile the person going through it has their own turmoil and their own mission and their own creation, but then the family has to figure out how to organize themselves around that and come out in a healthy way.
When someone transitions, they never transition alone. They take everybody around them on a transition ride.
Yes, absolutely.
And people aren't prepared to take that.
That's a roller coaster.
It is. It can be.
Believe it or not, we're already done. And we have to go and take a quick break. Don't go away. When we come back, I will have some final thoughts about our show today. Stay with us. Welcome back. Okay, Grace, you've only got a minute for a final comment. Can you give us some last thoughts?
I'd love to. One of the things that people need to remember is all of life is about relationships. And one of the hardest things we need to do is have a really good, solid relationship with ourselves. Mm-hmm. We need to be authentic. We need to be true to ourselves no matter what we think other people want us to do. Because if we don't have that true, loving relationship with ourselves, you have nothing to give away to anyone else.
That is so true.
So my advice to everybody is be true to yourself.
That's beautiful. I think that's very true. The authenticity is a key. We hope you have enjoyed our show. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you to our guests, Jean Dooley and Grace Stevens. That's all the time we have. Remember, you can see it all on Soup du Jour programs online, including the web-exclusive Second Helping segment. Just go to www.vstv.me and click on Soup du Jour. Until next time, keep the soup hot and the second helpings coming. We'll see you back here next time on Soup du Jour.